Hi, I'm your host, Elle Black, and I welcome you back to The Vortex. I'm going to be reviewing a brand spanking new horror film in today's video called Dark Harvest.
It's Halloween.
Let me out! Please!
You know what that means.
Let me out! Ah!
Old Sawtooth Jack is gonna rise from the cornfields. It's gotta be stopped. Kill or be killed.
Dark Harvest is set in the 1960s, although I have to say that the dress, vibe, cars, etc. seem far more 50s to me. I'm not so sure, I wasn't there in the 50s, so I could be wrong, and artistic license and all of that. It's based upon a town tradition that each Halloween the local teenagers have to go out and try to stop Sawtooth Jack, who emerges from the cornfields, by killing him and eating him. Yes, that's right, I did say eating him. And we learn that fact right from the beginning. It's an American film directed by David Slade, who's actually British, and works include the films 30 Days of Night and the Twilight Saga Eclipse. He's also a director of television and directed episodes for Breaking Bad, Awake, Hannibal, Crossbones, and Black Mirror, among others. The story for the film was written by Michael Gallo, I think I'm saying that correctly, who's American, and he's known for the films Quick Stop and Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, though this is actually based on the 2006 novel by Norman Partridge. Back to the synopsis. There is no positive contrast. No starting off in a high school giggling or playing sports or having a party, as we do so often see in the horror films, ready to offset against the dark that's coming. This one is straight into the crazy riots of 1 year prior, seeing this happen. So it immediately blows your mind and confuses seeing normal teenagers, i.e., not possessed or zombies or anything like that, enthusiastically killing what looks like a man and ripping their guts out, scoffing them, and all being seemingly happy about this and celebrating it. As usual, if you haven't seen this yet and you don't want any spoilers, please do not listen on. Go and watch it first, then come straight back to this video, though I do never tell all. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of being confused at all. So this did put me off to begin with, particularly as the voiceover at the start is so patronising and states that we do all know the story, when we very much don't. But after the initial confusion, they do actually lay out a load of scenes where the locals are being reminded of the story that apparently, of course, they already know. So we do then get to know it. And that clears that up-ish. As no one really knows who or what Jack is, or certainly not the teenagers, or necessarily believes that he exists, despite many people having been killed by him over the years. It's just implied that he is evil, will kill lots of people, and something about their harvests won't come if he's not killed before midnight each Halloween, and that everyone knows it must be done or the town is stuffed, basically. Not just that, but there are lucrative rewards for doing so, as well as prestige. So I like the ego element there. And what's more psychologically scary than the concept of Sawtooth Jack himself is how the egos of those trying to be the one that kills him and the town's secrets mean that they end up turning on each other. And there are loads of killings that happen as this one night unfolds just between the townsfolk themselves. What I do really like is that Sawtooth Jack is not just a random monster. You do find out who, what, he actually is. And there is a brilliant twist on that subject toward the end, which I wasn't expecting, and I do love it when films do this. The lead role, who is absolutely avid that he will be the one to kill Sawtooth Jack this year, realizes that this creature is in some really sick and twisted way, it's his own brother. Another thing I love is the unpredictability. This is always good. Generally, we all want and expect a reasonably happy ending, right? I mean, the main character wins despite all odds and survives, even if no one else does, and maybe the couple fall in love and manage to escape together. None of this happens, even though it looks like it's going to, right until the very last few minutes. There we have yet another final, deep, dark twist. What happens after Sawtooth Jack is killed? Well, they need another one for next year, don't they? Dark Harvest is the kind of horror that reminds me of the classics such as Halloween and Friday the 13th, which I doubt is a coincidence, though it does feel like I'm going to give it too much credit in saying that. It's just the old school setting, the idea of an evil person slash monster running amok in the town, really. And the reason I'm not inclined to give it that credit is that the storyline is far more complicated and confusing. If you like to follow a storyline, even when you're left hanging and or it doesn't make sense for a while and piece it together while you watch, then not really understand necessarily until the revelation and the moments right towards the end, then this is the film for you. If you can't follow a story that seems too wild and pretty impossible due to being far-fetched, definitely not the one for you. I have to say, it is a shame for me for it to be so close to being believable, yet too far-fetched. It is stated as being a fantasy horror, so when I put that hat on, it does make some more sense. Cast wise, all great performances and very well selected. So many of the actors seem to have the natural facial features of being from the 50s and 60s, especially the lead role, Casey Likes. Wow, love him. He looks like a young Johnny Depp. Okay, sorry, I'm showing my age there. But at only 21 years old and therefore only just legally able to drink in the US, watch this space. Being his first lead role, I am certain this guy is destined for amazing things and no doubt will do a lot more and soon. It's not just the looks, he's a very skilled actor too and almost carries this film, I'd say. Watch this space. Sawtooth Jack himself is a lanky, almost alien shaped skeletal style beast with a partly pumpkin shaped head. And although it does give off an appropriately Halloween and evil kind of vibe, the implication of a person inside a forced pumpkin head mask isn't original, having been seen in films like Halloween 3 back in the 80s. And I have to say that there is a film series called Pumpkinhead, the original being back in 1988. And it does look like they copied this almost exactly. David Slade would have been about 19 years old then. Coincidence? I think not. Then again, 1980s, it might be time for bringing things back using 80s films as inspirations. Something else I have to say I was confused about was the eating part. The teenagers looked like they were starved before Halloween. So when they were hunting Sawtooth Jack, they would be hungry enough to eat him afterwards. This bit wasn't explained very much, and so I don't really understand why they wouldn't just go and get some food as soon as they're released. And they do kind of touch on this by at some point breaking into a closed cake and meat shop. In fact, I think that's when the biggest number of killings happen, when a shop owner tries to defend the shop. But I guess this could be more of a criticism or a question for the original writers as opposed to the filmmakers. Another part that's hard to latch onto or believe. Anyway, as always, I am very interested to hear what you think, particularly as it is so new. So I am absolutely gagging to chat to people about their thoughts. Did you like it? Do you hate it? Did you like the double twist? What was your favourite bit? Did you get the starving teenagers bit? And when did you realise that it was his brother? Thanks for listening to my review. I've been your host, Elle Black. Please like and subscribe to the channel, The Vortex, so you don't miss out. And please comment below. I personally will be reviewing and replying to all comments, and I am very excited to hear from you. See you next time. Stay interesting, stay intrigued.